Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. It's 8:15 now. We are starting our topic. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Gulrez. I will be presenting today's journal club. My topic for discussion is non-muscular invasive bladder cancer. Objectives of this journal club is we will briefly study about predicting recurrence and progression in non-muscular invasive bladder cancer, intravesical therapy and surveillance in patients with non-muscular invasive bladder cancers. Urethral tumors that have not invaded the urethral muscles are termed as non-invasive bladder cancers. Traditional term used for it is superficial bladder cancers, predicting disease and recurrence and progression in non-muscular invasive bladder cancer. Patients are stratified into 3 risk groups according to the table given below. In low risk tumors, intermediate and high risk tumors. In low risk, its characteristics are primary, solitary, TA grade 1, less than 3 centimeter tumor with no carcinoma in situ. In high risk tumors, any of the following: T1 tumor, grade 3 tumor, carcinoma in situ, multiple recurrent and large greater than 3 centimeter tumors, while all other tumors which do not fall in category A and B will fall in category B, intermediate risk tumors.
I interrupt this. In cases of high risk tumors, the last point is multiple recurrent large tumor which is greater than 3 centimeters. This is for TA disease, in which we classified into low grade or intermediate risk groups or low grade tumors. And if all the 3 features are within this, then we labeled or classified into high risk tumors. And this is only for TA tumors. Okay.
We calculate the disease recurrence and progression scores by European Organization EOTRTC risk table and calculator. It has the following factors, which number of tumors. For single tumor, its score is 0, 2 to 7, 3. Greater than or equal to 8 tumors, its score is 6. While in tumor diameter, less than 3 centimeter has score 0, while greater than or equal to 3 centimeter tumor has 3. Prior recurrence rate, less than or equal to 1 primary and greater than 1 per year. While category TA and has 0 score, while T1 has 1. Concurrent CIS, if yes, score 1, if no, 0. In grade, for G1, grade 1, 0, G2, 1, and grade 3, 2. Its total score is between 0 and 17, while progression score is between 0 to 23.
Can anyone tell us what is the difference between the recurrence rate or the progression of the disease? Can anyone? Yes, sir. Mike पे अब बोलो.
अगर सर डिजीज एक दफा बिल्कुल खत्म हो गई है, हमने ट्रीट किया है, उस हमारे पास है, उसके बाद गैप है, इंटरवल है, और उसके बाद दोबारा उसकी हमें मिलती है, तो रिकरेंस है. अगर वो खत्म नहीं हुई और उसकी आगे कंटिन्यू चल रही है, तो वो प्रोग्रेशन है.
For example, if we are talking about the grade of the tumors, if the disease has T1 disease, right, which is non-muscle invasive, and you did TURBT and you partially resected because of any reasons, so we call it recurrence, or you go for, after 3 months, you go for again cystoscopy and TURBTs, and after 3 months, you again find the growth within the bladder sector. So we call it recurrence, progressions, or something else.
Sir, we will call it a progression, sir.
Why?
So it was partially resected.
So if there's a partially resected, so it is an incomplete resection. So in your notes, you mentioned that it's incomplete resection because of any reasons. You read TURBT within 2 weeks, within 2 weeks time, so that you get the actual pathology and actual staging of the disease, right? And what about the progression of the disease? Anyone? Dr. Fazeen?
I think progression means that when the disease has increased in its staging.
Give me the example of that, Shakti.
Like maybe initially the disease was carcinoma in situ or was not invasive disease, but later on, when we have repeated these scans, we see that the disease has on the repeat biopsy, the disease has invaded the muscle. That is called progression.
Yes, you are right.
Or we can see the distant metastasis. That is also the progression. It is also the example of progression.
If the disease is TA or T1 हो सकते हैं, and after repeat URBTs हो सकते हैं, and you find that there's a muscle invasion of that, so definitely we call it a progression of the disease. But sometimes if the disease is TA grade 1 or low grade and follow URBTs, you find that the disease was TA and along with high grade, so definitely this is still, it is non-muscle invasive disease, but it's the progression of the disease. So the categorization of recurrence and progression is depending upon if the disease progression occurs or recurrence occurs, the management will be changed. So the importance of recurrence and progression is because of the treatment modality is being changed from intravesicals, or sometimes you go for upfront radical cystectomy. So it depends upon that.
This is a table for probability of recurrence and disease progression according to total score. If recurrence score is 0, probability of recurrence is less than 15. Likewise, if 10 to 17 score, probability is of 61%. Recurrence in 1 year, while in probability of recurrence at 5 years, if score is 0, progression is 31%, probability of recurrence, while if score 10 to between 17, 78% probability of recurrence at 5 years. While progression score, if score is 0, probability of progression at 1 year is 0.2%. While if highest score between 14 to 23, at 1 year it's 17%, while at 5 years probability of progression is 45%.
The importance of progressions, of the disease and recurrence of the disease, recurrence at 1 year or 5 years, it's basic the tool when the patients came into your OPDs and you offered any kind of treatment. So the patient or the relative of the patient asked, what is the chances of recurrence after you offered me this therapy? Or what is the chances of after you give me this type of therapy and the disease was progressive or not? So on the basis of these data, you answer the questions regarding the chances of the disease recurrence or progression.
The Spanish Urological Club of Oncological Treatment, QTO, developed a similar risk stratification tool for patients who received BCG. This model predicts the risk of recurrence and progression based on 12 doses of intravesical BCG over a 5 to 6 month period following TURB. It is based on an analysis of 1,062 patients from the QTO trials that compare different intravesical BCG treatments. Patients received 12 installations over 5 to 6 months. No immediate post-operative installations or second TURB was performed in these patients. The scoring system is based on the evaluation of 7 prognostic factors that are gender, age, prior recurrence status, number of tumors, T category, associated CIS, and tumor grade. This is a QTO scoring model table. Which includes gender, age, recurrent tumor, no tumor, T category, associated TIS, and grade. Further prognostic factors have been described in selected patients' populations. In T1 grade 3 tumors, important prognostic factors were female sex, carcinoma in situ in the prostatic urethra in men treated with an induction course of BCG, age, tumor size, and concurrent CIS in BCG treated patients. 62% with induction course only. Attention must be given to patients with T1 grade 3 tumors in bladder with pseudodiverticulum because of the absence of muscle layer in the diverticular wall. In patients with T1 tumors, the finding of residual T1 disease at second URB is an unfavorable prognostic factor. In patients with T1 grade 2 tumors treated with URB, recurrence at 3 months was the most important predictor of progression. Preoperative neutrophil to lymphocyte ratio may have prognostic value in non-muscular invasive bladder cancer. This data, however, needs further validation. Intravesical therapy. Intravesical therapy permits high local concentrations of a therapeutic agent within the bladder, potentially destroying viable tumor cells that remain following transurethral resection of all visible bladder tumors. The decision to proceed with intravesical therapy depends on risk of recurrence and progression.
What are the types of intravesical therapy? Dr. Kaval?
Are divided into the chemotherapy and the immunotherapy. Immunotherapy includes the BCG, and the chemotherapy includes the mitomycin, doxorubicin, thiopenta, and etc.
Intravesical chemotherapy or immunotherapy may be delivered in 3 different fashions to achieve individual goals. First, adjuvant at the timing of TURBT. Its goal is to prevent implantation, while prophylactically it is given after completion of TUR. It prevents recurrence and progression, while therapeutic intravesical therapies we give after incomplete TUR. It cures residual disease. BCG. BCG is a live attenuated form of Mycobacterium bovis, which is the most important used agent for intravesical therapy. Its mechanism of action. BCG triggers a variety of local immune responses that last for a number of months and which appear to correlate with anti-tumor activity. Induction of a mononuclear cell infiltrate. It increases expression of interferon gamma, which increases the sensitivity of bladder tumor cells to BCG by activating lymphokine-activated killer cells and antigen-presenting cells. It elevates the unity cytokine levels, including interleukin 1, 2, 6, 8, 12, interferon gamma, tumor necrosis factor, and tumor necrosis factor apoptosis-inducing ligand. It directly suppresses the tumor growth in a dose-dependent fashion. Dosage and schedule. Induction regimen for BCG is weekly for 6 weeks, followed by a period of 6 weeks where no BCG is given, generally starting 2 to 6 weeks after TURBT. Each dose consists of a vial of reconstituted Connaught BCG or 1 or 2 ml ampule of Tice BCG, plus 50 ml of sterile saline injected into the bladder through a catheter and retained for 2 hours. Maintenance therapy should be considered in high-risk patients. Efficacy. Intravesical BCG is the most efficacious agent for non-muscular invasive bladder cancer. BCG therapy has been shown to delay tumor progression to a more advanced stage. It decreases the need for subsequent cystectomy, improve overall survival. BCG is also considered a treatment of choice for patients with carcinoma in situ.
What is the duration of BCG maintenance dose? Anyone? Kalimullah?
10 to 27 every 3 years.
Right.
The BCG maintenance therapy recommended is 10 to 27 doses for at least 3 years.
Suppose if the patients develop symptoms, for example, cystitis or epididymolysis or prostatitis post BCG, so you still continue BCG
No. We can postpone in cases of intravesical cystitis. We manage the intravesical cystitis, and we can postpone the dose.
So definitely there is a range of maintenance dosage. It's a very controversial topic regarding the maintenance of BCG, particularly as the symptoms as you installate the intravesical therapy. There's more chances as the number of dosage increases, the chances of symptoms increases. So the maintenance dosage, there's no actual consequence. There is no consensus regarding the maintenance dosage. Few centers they continue up to 1 year, and the few centers will continue up to 3 years, as you said. So there's no consensus about the maintenance dosage, but at least 1 year. Ji, Dr. Shah, you had something?
So maintenance is according to the risk stratification. For intermediate risk, it's 1 year, and for high risk, according to 3 years. As you rightly mentioned about the compliance with this 3-year maintenance dose, as with the longest trial available with us, they said that it was hardly 40 to 50% of the patient which received 3 years maintenance dose. Others developed symptoms which are mentioned like cystitis. And regarding the symptoms, we can classify, and there are symptoms which can be treated and the dosage can be continued. And there are symptoms which made us to stop the BCG and think about something else.
The long-term outcome following intravesical BCG therapy for non-muscular invasive bladder cancer has been, it showed a 10-year follow-up. The progression-free rate was longer for patients who had received BCG. Disease-specific survival was also significantly increased in patients who had BCG. Toxicities associated with intravesical BCG included urinary frequency, cystitis, fever, and hematuria. There were no reported BCG-associated deaths. BCG is contraindicated patients who are immunocompromised. Older adult patients and transplant recipients may be associated with higher toxicity and decreased efficacy.
When you completely stop the BCG intravesical therapy, or you suspend a period of few days, few weeks, so what are the limitations of BCG? When you completely stop and go for other options, or when you suspend it a few weeks and then restart? Anyone? Dr. Furkani, yes, sir.
Patients who develop toxicity, the mild, if cystitis or fever, then we in these patients we suspend the BCG for a few days or few weeks. If patient develops
How
BCG,
you identify the cystitis?
yes sir,
How you identify cystitis?
patient develops symptoms as well as low unitary symptoms and use and cultures and.
Okay.
And if patient develops BCG sepsis or a BCGosis, then we have to stop the treatment with BCG and we have to shift to other treatment options like mitomycin or epirubicin. These.
Regarding your, you mentioned MMC, mitomycin. Mitomycin, it will act on the recurrence as well as progressions, or only recurrence or only progressions? Or both?
Mitomycin stops only recurrence.
Okay.
Yes.
So if a patient is already on BCG, so why you put that patient into MMC? Because we already know that this is a high-grade tumors, which is most likely TA disease, high-grade tumors. So in these kinds of patients, we didn't go for MMC.
But there is contraindication. Now there is contraindication to use the BCG.
Okay.
So we have to.
What else options or other options?
Epirubicin, we have chemotherapy.
BCG failure therapy In BCG failure,
BCG failure.
in BCG failure or BCG toxicity, BCG is used for the high grade tumor. So the other option will be the radical cystectomy.
Yes. The another option is the radical cystectomy.
Mitomycin C. Mitomycin C is an anti-tumor antibiotic alkylating agent that inhibits DNA synthesis. Having a significant molecular weight, systemic absorption is minimal. Mitomycin has established role as a single intravesical administration following resection of low-risk non-muscular invasive bladder cancers. Dosage. An optimized regimen used a decreased volume in which 40 mg is instilled 20 cc with fluid restrictions to reduce urine volume and complete bladder emptying, along with urine alkalization to stabilize the drug. Single postoperative installation, single dose intravesical chemotherapy given in the immediate postoperative period following TURB for low-grade papillary disease. While multiple adjuvant installations are for patients with low-grade disease with recurrence or is multifocal, 6-weekly courses of intravesical chemotherapy are considered a reasonable alternative to BCG for initial management. This is typically followed by maintenance therapy.
What is the purpose of single postoperative installations? Dr. Jamal, what is the purpose or what goal we achieved in single installations of MMC? Just you perform TURBT and you insert MMC. Dr. Vikram.
So it is used to prevent the seeding of the tumor.
Thank you.
Alternative administration approaches for BCG. These includes the use of hyperthermia and the use of an electromotive gradient to increase the transport of mitomycin into bladder. The creation of hyperthermia within the bladder has been used to improve transport and penetration of mitomycin into the bladder wall, while electromotive drug administration, the use of an electromotive gradient in conjunction with intravesical mitomycin is believed to increase transport of drug across the mucosal membrane. Toxicity of mitomycin. Mitomycin is an alkylating agent that is minimally absorbed from the bladder into the systemic circulation. As a result, myelosuppression following the intravesical use of this agent is uncommon. Other toxicities have been reported following intravesical administration, include a self-limited chemical cystitis, and a rash primarily involving the palm, soles, and genitalia, hypersensitivity reaction. Other agents include gemcitabine. Gemcitabine appears to have similar efficacy to mitomycin and has a better toxicity profile. Epirubicin. Epirubicin can be used as an alternative to mitomycin as first-line therapy in patients with low and intermediate risk disease. Interferon alpha directly inhibits the proliferation of bladder tumor cells in vitro and increases bladder tumor cell surface antigen expression. However, it is less active than BCG. Thiotepa was the first intravesical agent to be used for non-muscle invasive bladder cancer. Only FDA-approved drug. However, it is seldom used because of its side effect profile and risk for late complications.
All these agents, they are inferior to MMC and BCG.
Surveillance in non-muscular invasive bladder cancers. Base follow-up of TA and T1 tumors and carcinoma in situ on regular cystoscopy. As a result of the risk of recurrence and progression, patients with non-muscular invasive bladder cancer need surveillance following therapy. However, the frequency and duration of cystoscopy and imaging follow-up should reflect the individual patient's degree of risk. Prompt detection of muscle invasive and high-grade non-muscle invasive recurrence is crucial because a delay in diagnosis and therapy can be life-threatening. The first cystoscopy after TURB at 3 months is an important prognostic indicator for recurrence and progression. Therefore, the first cystoscopy should always be performed 3 months after TURB in all patients with TA, T1 tumors, and CIS. Patients with low-risk TA tumors should undergo cystoscopy at 3 months. If negative, subsequent cystoscopy is advised, and 9 months later, and then yearly for 5 years. Tumor recurrence in low risk group is nearly always low stage and low grade G1. Small TA grade 1 low grade papillary recurrence does not present an immediate danger to the patient, and early detection is not essential for successful therapy. Fulguration of a small papillary recurrence on an outpatient basis could be safe. Patients with high-risk tumors should undergo cystoscopy and urinary cytology at 3 months. If negative, subsequent cystoscopy and cytology should be repeated every 3 months for a period of 2 years, and every 6 months thereafter until 5 years, and then yearly. While in patients with intermediate risk, TA tumors should have an in-between individualized follow-up scheme using cystoscopy. In tumors originally intermediate high-risk recurrence after 10 years tumor-free are not unusual. Therefore, lifelong follow-up is recommended. Regular upper tract imaging CT is recommended for high-risk tumors. The follow-up strategy must reflect the risk of extravesical recurrence, prostatic urethra in men, and upper urinary tract in both genders. The risk of upper urinary tract recurrence increases in patients with multiple and high-risk tumors. Endoscopy under anesthesia and bladder biopsy should be performed when office cystoscopy shows suspicious findings or if urinary cytology is positive. During follow-up in patients with positive cytology, no visible tumor in the bladder, mapping biopsies or PDD guided biopsies if equipment is available, and investigation of extravesical locations like CT urography, prostatic urethra biopsy are recommended. In patients initially diagnosed with TA low grade, grade 1 or 2 bladder cancer, use ultrasound of the bladder during surveillance in case cystoscopy is not possible or refused by the patient. Positive urine test results have a positive impact on the quality of follow-up cystoscopy. In patients initially diagnosed with TA grade 1 to grade 2 or low grade bladder cancer, ultrasound of the bladder may be a mode of surveillance in case cystoscopy is not possible or refused by the patients. No non-invasive method can replace endoscopy. It's the first choice.
Suppose you have a patient, he performs your BT and histopathology says that it was a T1 disease, T1 low grade tumor. So what is your next step of management? Kaushal. Sorry, what can I add? Vikalpa.
So we usually follow the patients after 3 months or cystoscopy.
Okay.
And if there is any recurrence,
You follow up after 3 months. Okay. Dr. Mariam, the same scenario is the patient with T1 disease, your first TURBT, and what is the next line of management?
So it depends upon the resection. If we have done the partial resection and
The surgeon is competent and he completely resected the tumor.
then sir, if it is a superficial bladder tumor, if there is a PT1 disease, then we will follow the patient 3 monthly, and we will repeat the cystoscopy. And if there is no growth, then we will follow the patient every 6 months.
You follow your patients after 3 months. Okay. Okay. Asanullah sir. The same scenario is.
Sir, immediate mitomycin intravesical and then follow up after 3 months for cystoscopy.
Dr. Usman. Dr. Usman.
Sir, we will repeat cystoscopy and biopsy to state the disease again.
When? The time interval is very important. Yes.
After 6 weeks.
Sir, within the 6 weeks.
Sama,
We need to do re-TURBT in 2 to 4 weeks.
why? Why is it
Sir,
so?
because we need to have the muscle for the complete staging. First reason is that, and second, if there's a T1 disease, there could be a risk of muscle invasive disease in other area of as well. So we need to completely stage the disease and perform re-TURBT in 2 to 4 weeks.
Yes, you are right. But the reason is that there is 25% of the chance that you miss the muscle invasive tumors. That's why the duration is short. It's not 3 months, it's 2 to 4 weeks. So that if you understage the disease हो सकता है. Okay, T1 disease, the management is something else. And for muscle invasive disease, the management changes. Okay.
साहब ये जो है do we give here single dose intravesical after TURBT or not? What's our
Sir,
practice?
Sir, initially it was practicing. One of our residents, they performed the post TURBT. They give intravesical MMC. But for few years, the practice, I have no idea, but there's no intravesical chemotherapy in recovery room.
Is there any benefit of giving single dose after operation?
Sir, definitely, sir. It has a role of to prevent seedings of the tumor in that.
So what are the contraindications of giving intravesical after TURBT? Just from the residents.
If there is a post TURBT in the recovery or in perioperative, if there is a hematuria, we cannot give. If there the signs of bladder perforation,
yes,
so we cannot give intravesical.
Okay, right. So I think the T1 high grade and low grade should be treated as two different diseases. Is it right? High grade tumors T1 and high grade low grade T1, they should be treated as a different diseases or the single disease.
These two are different diseases. In TA high grade tumor, we can give immunotherapy like BCG. While in TA low grade tumor, there is a role of intravesical chemotherapy.
So साहब हम करते हैं BCG करते हैं. It's not available all over the world. It's not. Okay. So how we treat the refractory BCG or intravesical refractory tumors? Any idea?
Any results, Professor? Dr. Babar? अभी प्रोफेसर मंजूर ने सवाल है ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ रिफ्रैक्टिव बीसीजी उसकी ट्रीटमेंट क्या होगी?
So radical cystectomy role of we go for radical cystectomy. CG.
सर lately ये discussion हुआ था last week tumor board में, and to my surprise the medical oncologist tells us that we have been giving gemcitabine intravesical for quite a few patients, probably 2 or 3 patients. So it was a kind of a news for all of us that this is another group of patients, and for the very first time in our unit, intravesical gemcitabine is given. Just because the reason perhaps that BCG is not available, and it is not available not only in Pakistan, but it is not available all over the world. Probably maybe a year or so down the line, we will have BCG because it has got a proven efficacy and it has got its own place. If we want to replace it with gemcitabine, then the results and the studies have to come up in comparison with that kind of results that the BCG was actually posing. So I think we should wait for our own unit to come up with their own results. Otherwise, the option is there, and that is this drug.
Why I'm asking you is the role of combination therapy in the case if there is a resistance to BCG or any one agent like MMC. Is there a role for combined or more than one agent use or combination therapy? And checkpoint inhibitors and photodynamic therapy and maybe radiation are the also options for those who are refractory to intravascular. So the photodynamic therapy, radiation therapy, and checkpoint inhibitors and combination therapy is more than one intravascular chemotherapy are the options for the those patients who are not willing or who are not candidates for cystectomy. ये अच्छा ये जो है ना इसमें एक चीज और मेरे ख्याल में हमें करना चाहिए कि we should tell the patient about the prevention at the end of this non-muscle invasive tumor treatment. We should tell them how to prevent the future recurrence. Any suggestion on this? Maybe something very similar.
Stop smoking.
No, that's
Yes, sir.
anything. If you have treated, for example, non-muscle invasive tumors with your TURBT intravascular, and now patient is free. So anything for the prevention you will suggest to the patient? Any prevention for the recurrence?
So वही अगर स्मोकर है तो स्मोकिंग से मना करेंगे और अगर वो जो
So I
केमिकल
think it's very thank you very much. It's very important to know the history about the smoking, and the patient must be advised not to smoke. Number one, and number two, और कोई चीज?
सर जॉब उसकी अगर किसी वो कार्सिनोजन ऑक्यूपेशनल हैजर्ड्स जो कॉज करते हैं कार्सिनो
अच्छा और कोई चीज anything maybe simple thing but maybe beneficial for
so farmers में जैसे इंसेक्टिसाइड्स और पेस्टिसाइड्स की वजह से
लेकिन high fluid intake जो है ना high fluid intake has got flushing effect on the bladder and complete emptying, frequent emptying and high fluid intake is also recommended for the prevention with the cessation of smoking. I think it's very important. पहले विटामिन ए के रेटिनॉइड्स भी देते थे लेकिन उसका रोल जो है वो इतना ज्यादा नहीं लेकिन ये है कि ये मेरे ख्याल में हमें रूटीन बनाना चाहिए कि अगर हमारे क्लिनिक में पेशेंट कोई आता है इस तरह का तो उसको ये मस्ट सजेस्ट करें एज ए प्रिवेंशन कि हाई फ्लूइड इनटेक करें और कंप्लीटली एम्प्टिंग करें रेगुलर ब्लड की और सिजेशन ऑफ स्मोकिंग एंड ऑक्यूपेशनल चेंज इफ देयर इज anything can be
Dr.
done
Jamal
about change.
And both of you. Sorry.
These very things that have been discussed by Mansoor Saab, like smoking and occupational hazards, different kind of exposures. Maybe we used to read them in every chapter of oncology. Everything starts from something which is related to exposures, but they're very important. If we take a very proper history and we are interested in our patients, then we can make a very big difference. I can tell you an example. For instance, there is an employee of this institute who used to work as a person who just paints the wall, right? He's a painter. And one day he came to us in our OPD, and because he was an employee, so he kind of hesitated to give a complaint because he was in the process of thinking that maybe he loses his job. So in one person, he confides and says that I have got blood in my urine. Now, since that person, that doctor happens to be interested in this subject, happens to be a very junior person at that time, happens to be a person who wants to read something and relating something to the other things. So what happened was not only the employee was treated by having cystoscopies and bladder biopsies and TORBTs plus intravesical MMC, and still he is on surveillance once a year. But his job description was changed. His job description was changed from a painter to somebody who is now in the kitchen, and he is here. And आप लोग उसको हो सकता है देखते भी हो सकता है आप लोगों को पता भी ना हो उसके साथ बीमारी क्या है, और वो ट्रीट भी हो गया एक तरह से, उसकी जॉब चेंज हो गई थोड़ी सी. So we can all make a difference. We can all make a difference in the lives of anybody who is around us, maybe an employee or a friend of ours or in our community.
Why I was asking, or why I was discussing that it's important to ask in the history these things. Anything in the diet, any suggestion in the diet to these patients for prevention?
अच्छा, डाइट से भी सर रिलेट करते हैं इससे. जस्ट रिसेंटली आई थिंक 3 weeks बैक असद उमर जो एक हमारे वो है मिनिस्टर है NCOC के, उन्होंने एक तकरीर की थी. आप लोग समझते हैं वो तकरीर कोई सियासी तकरीर है, लेकिन उसमें हमारे लिए एक पॉइंट था. उन्होंने कहा था कि मुझे समझ में आता, मैं इस्लामाबाद में रहता हूँ, पहले मैं कराची में रहता था, लेकिन इन एवरी अदर हाउस ऑफ इस्लामाबाद देयर इज अ पेशेंट हु इज अ कैंसर पेशेंट. व्हाई इज इट सो? इस्लामाबाद तो कराची से ज्यादा मतलब साफ सुथरा शहर है, हवा फजा सब साफ है. मे बी देयर इज समथिंग इन द सब सॉइल वाटर, जो पानी पीते हैं जो नालों से आ रहा है, वहाँ बरसाती नालों का पानी भी पीते हैं लोग, और उसमें आर्सेनिक है. सो he is not a person of science actually, he is not a doctor, but he has got this kind of impression. So everybody can have an impression and that can be put into practice. Maybe you make a law and then everybody is actually protected. तो ये सारी जो कहानी है कैंसर की, मेरे ख्याल है इसको हम सबको ही एक साथ मिलके लड़ना होगा, ये ऐसे नहीं बनेगी बात.
And Dr. Gulrez, any suggestion for the diet to these patients? Because it's as a urologist, it's also important when we treat bladder stone, for example, a renal stone patient, we must suggest what is the future prevention. The same is true with the bladder cancer. Same is true with RCC. Same is true with all the diseases to some extent. So anything in the diet you will suggest these patients in your clinic that you should avoid these things, and any benefit and proven benefit?
सर मैं जवाब देता हूँ उसको. गुलरेज की जगह वो सोच ज्यादा रहे. सर वैसे नॉर्मली हम पेशेंट्स को ये कहते हैं ना कि आप जी ब्लैंड डाइट खाया करें, आप ज्यादा फाइबर ये वो, तो वो डाइट बिल्कुल ऐसी हो जाती है जो कलरफुल नहीं होती. तो ऐसे पेशेंट्स के लिए जो कैंसर पेशेंट्स होते हैं उनको हम कहते हैं आप रेनबो डाइट लें. अब रेनबो डाइट से मुराद क्या होती है? सो यू मस्ट हैव अ डाइट, फॉर इंस्टेंस वेजिटेबल्स दैट हैव गॉट कलर्स इन देम, like green color, red color, yellow color. There are 3 different kinds of 2 different kinds of cabbages available, 3 different kinds of cauliflower available. So आप ये जो colors हैं ना, they have got pigments and these pigments are antioxidants, so they are very important.
I think low fat diet is also important for the.
Sir, one query is if
low fat diet, huh?
So one query is if the bladder growth is within the bladder diverticulum. So there, as the diverticulum's anatomy is, there's no muscle. So in which category they fall of it? Either we label them as T1 disease, or technically there is no muscles, so we don't have any kind of biopsy that diverticular growth. So we labeled as T1 or TA or
T1
something else.
असर साहब बता सकते हैं सही
जी सर डायबिटिकुलर डिजीजेस जो हैं वो उनको सेपरेट टॉपिक के तौर पे ना ट्रीट किया है फॉर इंस्टेंस एनी डायबिटिकुलम हैज गॉट at one time there was an article in BJU and they say that if you have a suspicion on an ultrasound perhaps of a full bladder that there is something a space occupying lesion within the diverticulum, then there is 7% chance that it is neoplastic, right? So that was one article that I can remember. The second thing is whenever you have got a suspicion, you can always opt for direct CT scan with contrast if the renal function is normal. And you should skip something called cystoscopy and biopsy of the diverticular disease because taking a biopsy within the diverticulum would liable to injure the diverticulum or perforate the diverticulum. One. Second is you will be unable in most of the cases to get into the diverticulum because the neck or the mouth is narrow. You can get into it through a flexible cystoscope, but not with a rigid cystoscope. So these are technical problems. The second thing is if it is very close to the lateral wall, very close to the ureteric orifice, then it's better to get hold of the distal portion of the ureter after CT scanning and sacrifice the whole thing, sacrifice the whole intramural portion of the ureter as well as the diverticulum. And 2 cases in the last 3 weeks have appeared with the same kind of problem. And our oncology team, the surgical oncology team, has done a resection of one side of the wall with ureteric reimplantation later. So it was kind of a treatment that you can always graft yourself rather than it is prescribed. किताब में नहीं लिखा लेकिन you can graft your procedure.
डॉक्टर साहब ने ये जैसे टाइम हो गया ना एक जस्ट प्रैक्टिकल पॉइंट डॉक्टर साहब ने कहा कि लेटरल वॉल पे अगर है ट्यूमर किसी को तो उसमें ऑब्चुरेटर रिफ्लक्स होता है, ठीक है, और इट कैन लीड टू परफोरेशन और एनी कॉम्प्लिकेशन. तो हाउ टू प्रिवेंट दैट? Any suggestion how to prevent obturator reflux while resecting the tumor on the lateral wall? Any suggestion? Can we prevent it or not?
Yes, yes, we can prevent growth. While doing cystoscopy, if you find a growth at the lateral wall, right or left lateral wall, first of all, we ask the anesthetist to give a muscle relaxation.
Yes.
And after muscle relaxation, other option is to use a bipolar diathermy. Yes. It can prevent.
And तीसरी कोई
local anesthetic
और कोई?
तो तीसरी मैं बता दूं.
नहीं ये मैं just brainstorming अगर इनको पता है या नहीं तो क्योंकि ये important है especially for the learners के लेजर यूज करें. Yes. तो 3 चीजें हैं इम्पोर्टेंट टू प्रिवेंट द ऑब्चुरेटर रिफ्लक्स, ठीक है. और नंबर 1 जो है वो यूज पेशेंट एनेस्थीसिया वालों को कहें कि इसको आप मसल रिलैक्सेंट दें और वेट करें, ठीक है. यू शुड वेट टिल द पेशेंट इज फुली रिलैक्स्ड विद द मसल रिलैक्स. और दूसरा यूज ऑफ बाइपोलर डायथर्मी में नहीं है, ठीक है. तीसरा जो है ना यूज ऑफ लेजर्स में भी ऑब्चुरेटर रिफ्लक्स नहीं है एज कंपेयर टू द डायथर्मी, मोनोपोलर डायथर्मी. तो ये 3 चीजें हैं जैसे आप इन 3 चीजों से प्रिवेंट कर सकते हैं इस कॉम्प्लिकेशंस को. और दूसरी चीज है ना वो ओवर डिस्टेंशन ना करें ब्लैडर को, हमेशा पार्शियली फिल करें. और जैसे असर साहब ने कहा है ना कि डायवर्टिकुलम में अगर है और उसमें ओवर डिस्टेंट किया है और वी हैव रिसेक्टेड दैट very vigorously, then there are more chances of perforation. तो उसमें भी ओवर डिस्टेंट ना करें और कंजर्वेटिव अप्रोच होना चाहिए अगर डायवर्टिकुलम में है, ठीक है. कंजर्वेटिव अप्रोच का मतलब ये है कि जैसे फल्ग्रेशन से अगर काम चल जाता है, अगर क्योंकि सुपरफिशियल ट्यूमर है या बायोप्सी लें अगर आप तो भी उसे कब से लें, तो मतलब कंजर्वेटिव अप्रोच का मतलब है कि विगोरसली रिसेक्शन नहीं होना चाहिए प्रिवेंशन करने के लिए.
And sir, there is a 4th one. अगर third हो गए तो the 4th one is a transvesical obturator block.
Transuterine, that's right.
transvesical obturator block. So you, for instance, if there is a right lateral wall growth, so you just bypass the growth. You just insert a needle, and there is a specific needle for it. You go through and through the wall of the bladder, and you inject the lignocaine or lidocaine, just a little bit, and that can prevent it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.